Hi, class. Today we're going to be talking about language development, especially in the early years. So, what I want you to be able to do is to really talk about the process of language acquisition. Basically, how do we get our language? We're going to be talking about how babies are actually capable of learning a lot about speech very early on in life, and the interaction between parents and their children, and how that really helps play a role in how infants are really learning how to understand and produce speech. Lastly, we're going to be talking about babbling and early word production. So that's actually in another video where we'll talk about producing words. So if we really think about this process, there are three steps. First of which, you have to be exposed to some sort of language. If you've ever heard about some of the case studies that are out there, like Jeannie, she was not exposed to language. And that really stunted her process of actually being able to speak. Then you have to understand what people are saying, so comprehension. And eventually you'll be able to produce your own language. So let's start with the first process, which is exposure to language. So I want you to do just a little imagine scenario. Pretend you had an infant or a baby that you were babysitting. How would you speak to them? Typically, it asks you to be talking to a neighbor and discussing it, or maybe even producing it yourselves. But if you're anything like me, you're probably going, "Hi, how are you? Oh, you're such a cute baby." And this is a really critical thing that we see pretty much universally. Not everybody's going to use this infant-directed speech, but we know that this is a very critical thing that we do as adults, but even as little children. So if you introduce like a 4 or 5-year-old to a baby, they're going to use this as well. It's going to be a warm and affectionate tone, a lot higher pitched. We're going to slow things down, as well as have more extreme intonations. So I might say, "Wow, that's a cute baby." When I'm talking to a baby, I'm going, "Wow, you're such a cute baby." My voice is modulating a lot more. That's what we really mean by that extreme intonation. And I'm also going to be simplifying my speech. So it's going to be a lot less big words. Instead, I might say, "Look at the dog. Look at that doggy," right? It's more simplified. I think one of the really interesting things is that if we look at spoken language, we know that this occurs, but this is also something that occurs in sign language. So infant-directed gestures are those things that parents do when they are signing to their infants. They will do a lot slower signs, they'll repeat it a lot more. It's a lot more exaggerated, you know. So if we think about bottle, for example, this is often a sign that parents will teach their children as bottle, and they would probably go, "Oh, look at the bottle," right? Or it'll be a lot more positive affect and just simplified overall. So if you think about the purpose of this, what are parents trying to do? Well, they're really trying to demonstrate language, but possibly in a way that babies can understand and start comprehending things, as well as babies just love it. So this really does help with comprehension, because if we slow things down, then we can better segment where one word starts and the other one ends. So if you look at these little, give my little pointer out, look at the dog over there. Do you see the dog over there? In infant-directed speech, we pause a little bit in between some of these words. However, in adult-directed speech, we don't do that. Instead, it's kind of all clumped together, and it's a lot faster. So one of the things that infant-directed speech might really do is just slow it down and put little pauses in between words.